Staying ahead isn't just a choice, it's a necessity. The book you don't read won't help. If you want to get ahead, if you want to be the person who stands out from the crowd, you have to make learning a daily habit. It's not about being born with extraordinary talent. It's about the simple, powerful choice to learn and improve every single day. Think about it. Every day that you choose to learn, to grow, to invest in your knowledge, you're putting yourself ahead of 99% of people. Most people don't bother to develop themselves. They're comfortable with what they know, and they don't push for more. But you can be different. You can take control of your future by making learning a priority. It doesn't take hours or complex strategies. It just takes a commitment to grow, even if it's a small step each day. In this video, we're going to dive into the practical ways you can start educating yourself every day. We'll break down the habits, mindsets, and strategies that will help you stay ahead of the curve. Whether you're looking to advance in your career, improve your personal life, or simply become the best version of yourself, this is your blueprint. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear plan of action, real steps you can take today to start your journey towards success. Let's get started, and remember, the future belongs to those who are always learning. Chapter 1. The world rewards the learners and punishes the stagnant. You are either growing or you're dying. That's the brutal truth nobody wants to tell you. Life does not reward those who sit still, who wait for things to happen, who rely on their past achievements to carry them forward. No, the world belongs to those who adapt, who evolve, who never stop learning. The difference between those who thrive and those who struggle isn't luck. It isn't talent. It's the ability to continuously educate yourself every single day while the rest of the world chooses comfort over progress. Look around. The most successful people in the world, whether they are entrepreneurs, athletes, artists, or leaders, have one thing in common: they never stop learning. They are obsessed with growth, constantly feeding their minds, constantly upgrading their skills. Meanwhile, the average person graduates from school, gets a job, and stops actively learning. They think they've made it, but in reality, they've just started falling behind. They watch the world change around them, new technologies emerge, new industries rise, and they wonder why they're struggling to keep up. The truth is, the world doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care if you don't have time to learn new skills. It doesn't care if you feel stuck in life. It will simply replace you with someone who is willing to put in the effort. Someone who is willing to educate themselves every day. Someone who refuses to be left behind. The people who make learning a daily habit become unstoppable. They become the ones who innovate, who create, who succeed while everyone else is still making excuses. Think about how much the world has changed in just the past decade. 10 years ago, social media was nothing compared to what it is today. AI was a distant concept, something only tech companies cared about. The job market looked completely different. Now AI is taking over industries, new careers are emerging, and people who refuse to adapt are getting left behind. Those who didn't take the time to learn about digital marketing, AI, automation, or coding are now struggling to find work. But the ones who stayed ahead, who educated themselves daily, are thriving. The biggest mistake you can make is believing that education ends when school ends. That mindset is the reason why so many people feel stuck. They follow the system, go to school, get a job, work for years, and then wonder why they're unhappy, why they feel lost. It's because they stopped growing. The moment you stop feeding your mind, you start declining. There is no standing still in life. You are either improving or you are falling behind. And falling behind in today's world is not an option. The scary part, most people don't even realize they're falling behind. They wake up, go to work, come home, and mindlessly scroll through social media or binge-watch TV shows. They don't read, they don't challenge themselves. They consume entertainment, but never education, and then they wonder why they're stuck in the same place year after year. It's because the world punishes stagnation. It quietly replaces those who refuse to grow. You have two choices. You can continue doing what 99% of people do, wasting time on distractions, refusing to learn, staying in your comfort zone, or you can make the decision to educate yourself every single day. The choice is simple. The results, however, are life-changing. Imagine where you could be in just 1 year if you committed to learning something new every day. Imagine how much more valuable you would become if you spent just 30 minutes a day improving your skills, expanding your knowledge, and developing your mindset. That's what separates the top 1% from the rest. And let's be real, there is no excuse. In today's world, learning has never been easier. You don't need to sit in a classroom. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars on formal education. Everything you need is at your fingertips. You can read books, listen to podcasts, take online courses, watch educational videos, follow mentors. The resources are endless. But most people don't take advantage of them. Instead, they waste their time on distractions that add nothing to their future. The difference between where you are now and where you want to be isn't talent. It isn't luck. It's how much effort you're willing to put into learning and growing. Every day that you choose to educate yourself, you are making an investment in your future. Every book you read, every skill you develop, every piece of knowledge you absorb, it all compounds over time. And the longer you stay committed to growth, the further ahead you'll be. Think about the people who inspire you, the ones you admire. Whether they are business leaders, athletes, artists or creators, they all have one thing in common: they never stop learning. They understand that the world belongs to those who evolve. The moment you think you know enough is the moment you begin to decline. The moment you stop educating yourself is the moment the world starts passing you by. So ask yourself, are you moving forward or are you falling behind? Are you making daily progress or are you stuck in the same cycle of mediocrity? If you're not actively learning, if you're not challenging yourself, if you're not feeding your mind, then you're already falling behind. But the good news, you can change that right now. You can decide at this very moment to make learning a priority. It doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need to spend hours studying every day. Even just 30 minutes of focused learning can transform your future. Replace mindless scrolling with reading. Replace background noise with educational podcasts. Replace distractions with skills that will make you valuable. Small, consistent efforts lead to massive results over time. The people who educate themselves daily don't just stay ahead, they create the future. But here's the catch: the world is only getting faster. Technology is advancing. Industries are evolving. The demand for new skills is increasing. If you don't keep up, if you don't stay sharp, if you don't commit to learning every single day, you will be left behind. There is no other way to put it. The world rewards those who prepare for the future and punishes those who refuse to adapt. Now the question is, what will you do? Will you stay stagnant, hoping that things will somehow work out? Or will you take control of your future by educating yourself every day? Because make no mistake, the people who are willing to learn, grow and adapt will dominate the next decade. The ones who refuse will struggle. The choice is yours: stay stagnant and be left behind, or commit to daily growth and stay ahead of 99% of people. It starts today. It starts with a decision. The decision to pick up a book instead of scrolling. The decision to listen to a podcast instead of wasting time on nonsense. The decision to become the type of person who never stops learning. Because once you commit to that mindset, there is no limit to how far you can go. The world belongs to the learners. The world belongs to those who refuse to be left behind. Which one will you be? Chapter 2. The 24-hour knowledge formula. Every single day you're faced with a decision, whether you realize it or not. The decision to either improve or remain the same. The decision to either sharpen your mind or let it dull over time. The decision to either educate yourself or let the world outgrow you. This is not just about learning for the sake of it. This is about survival in a world that is evolving faster than ever before. Those who understand how to maximize their 24 hours, those who dedicate themselves to consistent knowledge growth, become unstoppable. And those who don't, they wonder why nothing in their life ever changes. Let's be real. The world does not slow down for anyone. It moves forward, and if you're not actively upgrading yourself, you're falling behind. Look at the people at the top of any field: business, sports, entertainment, science. They all have one thing in common: an obsession with learning. They don't just rely on what they learned years ago. They sharpen their skills, expand their minds, and stay ahead of the competition. And that's the key right there. The competition. Because whether you like it or not, life is competitive. Every industry is competitive. Every opportunity is competitive. You are either preparing yourself for success, or you're setting yourself up to be replaced by someone who did. The biggest lie people believe is that learning is something you do in school, and once you graduate, you're done. That's why so many people get stuck in the same job for years, never getting a promotion, never increasing their income, never breaking out of the cycle of mediocrity. It's not because they're not capable, it's because they stopped feeding their mind, they stopped growing. And the moment you stop growing, you start declining. You don't stay in the same place in life. You either get better or you get worse. And the ones who get better, they've mastered the 24-hour knowledge formula. They've figured out how to use their time in a way that puts them ahead of 99% of people. Think about this. Every person on this planet has the same 24 hours in a day. The difference between someone who is highly successful and someone who struggles is not luck, not background, not intelligence. It's how they use those 24 hours. You could take two people with the same job, the same resources, and the same opportunities, but one of them will outgrow the other simply because they dedicate time to learning. While one person spends hours watching meaningless content, the other person is reading books, taking online courses, and absorbing knowledge that will make them more valuable. And over time, the gap between these two people becomes massive. If you want to separate yourself from the average, you have to start using your 24 hours differently. And no, I'm not talking about spending 5 hours a day studying. That's unrealistic for most people. What I'm talking about is being intentional with your time. The difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck is not how much time they have, but how they use it. Most people waste hours every day on distractions, social media, pointless conversations, entertainment that does nothing for their future. Then they complain that they don't have time to learn, to grow, to develop new skills. But if you look at their daily habits, the truth is clear. They do have time, they just don't use it wisely. The most successful people in the world have a rule. They dedicate a portion of their day every single day to learning something new. It doesn't matter how busy they are. It doesn't matter how many responsibilities they have. They know that if they stop learning, they stop growing, and if they stop growing, they get left behind. This is the formula that keeps them ahead of 99% of people. They don't just consume information randomly, they have a system, and that's exactly what you need. Imagine if you dedicated just 30 minutes a day to intentional learning. That's all it takes. 30 minutes a day doesn't seem like much, but over time, it adds up. In a year, that's over 180 hours of education. Now ask yourself, what would happen if you spent 180 hours learning a high-income skill? What would happen if you spent 180 hours studying the psychology of success, mastering communication, or understanding financial growth? The answer is simple. Your life would change, your opportunities would increase, your income would rise, your confidence would skyrocket. But it all starts with how you use your time. Here's the thing, most people will hear this and still do nothing. They will agree that learning is important, they will feel motivated for a moment, but then they will go back to their old habits. And that is exactly why the majority of people stay average. They don't lack potential, they lack discipline. They lack the ability to stay consistent with their learning. And that is why the top 1% will always dominate. Because while everyone else is making excuses, they are putting in the work. But you're not like most people. You wouldn't be here if you were. You know that you are capable of more, and you're ready to take control of your future. So here's what you need to do. Right now, commit to setting aside time every single day for learning. Even if it's just 30 minutes. Even if you start small. The key is consistency. Over time, this simple habit will compound, and the results will be undeniable. You'll start to notice that your mindset is sharper, your skills are stronger, your opportunities are greater. And while everyone else is wondering why nothing in their life ever changes, you'll be too busy winning to even notice. The truth is, you don't need more time, you just need to use it better. You don't need a special talent, you just need a commitment to growth. The people who are truly successful are not the ones who were born with an advantage. They are the ones who decided, every single day, to become better than they were yesterday. And if you do the same, there is nothing in this world that can stop you. The world belongs to those who learn, those who adapt, those who refuse to settle. The question is, will you be one of them? Chapter 3. How to learn from books without wasting time. Every single successful person has one thing in common. They read. It's not a coincidence. It's not luck. It's not something they do just because they have extra time. It's a deliberate strategy. Reading is the fastest way to download decades of wisdom, experience, and expertise from the greatest minds in history. Imagine being able to sit down with a billionaire and pick his brain about success. Imagine learning directly from the most powerful leaders, the most brilliant thinkers, the most innovative entrepreneurs. That's what books allow you to do. But here's the problem. Most people read books the wrong way. They spend hours turning pages, but retain nothing. They finish a book and go back to their normal life, unchanged. And that's why reading alone isn't enough. If you don't know how to extract knowledge, apply it and use it to level up your life, then reading is just another form of entertainment. The people who get real results from books understand that reading isn't about collecting information, it's about transformation. It's not about how many books you read, but how much you apply. That's why someone who reads 10 books but applies every lesson will always be more successful than someone who reads 100 books but does nothing with them. The key is to approach reading like a weapon. Every book you pick up should be treated as a tool to upgrade your mind, sharpen your skills, and give you an advantage in life. That's how the top 1% read. They don't just consume books, they extract value from them, they make the ideas their own, and they use them to change their reality. If you've ever struggled with reading, if you've ever felt like books don't make a difference in your life, it's not because reading doesn't work. It's because you've never been taught how to read properly. You were taught to read for information, but not for action. You were taught to finish books, but not to absorb them. That stops today, because once you learn how to read in a way that actually improves your life, you will never go back to the old way. You will start seeing books as a secret weapon, a way to get ahead of 99% of people, while they waste time on things that don't matter. The first thing you need to understand is that not all books deserve your time. Just because a book is popular doesn't mean it's valuable. Just because a book is well written doesn't mean it's worth reading. The key is to be selective. The most successful people in the world don't waste time reading books that don't serve them. They focus on books that solve real problems, books that help them improve their skills, books that provide a roadmap to success. Before you start any book, ask yourself one question: how will this book improve my life? If you can't answer that, you're probably reading the wrong book. Now, once you've found the right book, the next step is to approach it with the right mindset. Too many people read passively. They turn pages, they highlight sentences, but they don't actively engage with the material. That's why they forget everything they read. The only way to make a book truly valuable is to interact with it. Write in the margins, take notes, question the ideas, challenge the author. The goal is not just to read the book, but to wrestle with the ideas inside it. That's how you make the knowledge stick. That's how you internalize the lessons and turn them into something you can actually use. Another mistake people make is trying to read too fast. There's a myth that the more books you read, the smarter you become. That's not true. Intelligence is not about how much information you consume. It's about how much you understand and apply. If you speed through books just to finish them, you're missing the point. A single book, read deeply and applied correctly, can change your life more than 100 books read superficially. The key is to slow down and focus on mastery. Instead of trying to finish a book as quickly as possible, try to extract every valuable insight from it. Treat each book like a training manual for your mind. Read it with the intention of changing the way you think and act. One of the most powerful strategies for retaining what you read is to teach it to someone else. The best way to learn something is to explain it. After you finish a chapter, try summarizing the main ideas in your own words. Imagine you had to teach the concepts to a friend. This forces you to process the information deeply and make it your own. If you can't explain what you just read, you don't truly understand it. That's why the best learners are also the best teachers. They don't just consume information, they actively use it, discuss it, and share it with others. But here's where most people fail. They read, they take notes, they get excited about new ideas, and then they do nothing. This is the biggest trap. If you read a book but don't apply what you learned, you just wasted your time. Knowledge without action is useless. If a book teaches you a new way to manage your time, apply it immediately. If it teaches you a strategy for making money, put it into practice. Don't just admire the ideas, implement them. The people who get the most out of books are the ones who turn knowledge into action. They don't wait. They don't hesitate. They read something valuable, and they immediately apply it to their life. That's why they get results. That's why they grow faster than everyone else. Imagine if for every book you read, you took just one powerful idea and applied it for 30 days. Imagine how much your life would change in a year. You would develop new habits, new skills, new perspectives. You would become the type of person who doesn't just learn, you evolve. That is what separates the top 1% from everyone else. They don't just read, they execute. They don't just collect information, they use it to gain an edge in life. So now you have a choice. You can continue reading books the way you always have, passively, without application, without real change, or you can decide that from this moment on, you will approach reading differently. You will treat every book like a tool for transformation. You will read with purpose, take action on what you learn, and use books as a weapon to dominate in life. Because the truth is, if you are not constantly upgrading your mind, you are falling behind. The world is evolving, the competition is getting smarter, and the opportunities are going to those who are prepared. The people who stay ahead are the ones who never stop learning. They don't just read for entertainment, they read to win, they read to gain an advantage. They read to stay sharp while everyone else gets comfortable. And that is why they succeed. Because while the majority of people waste time, they are building themselves into something greater. If you truly want to be in the top 1%, if you truly want to stay ahead of the world, then you have to make reading a weapon. You have to be relentless about learning, about growing, about applying knowledge in real life. Because at the end of the day, success is not about who is the smartest or who has the most natural talent. It's about who is willing to educate themselves every single day and use that knowledge to separate from the crowd. That's the mindset that will change your life. That's the approach that will keep you ahead of 99% of people. The question is, are you willing to read the right way? Are you willing to not just consume information, but master it? Because if you are, then there is no limit to what you can achieve. Chapter 4. Learning from podcasts and audiobooks. Your mobile university. Every single day you're surrounded by an opportunity that most people ignore. An opportunity that could completely change the way you think, the way you learn, and ultimately, the way you succeed. It's not locked away in some expensive course. It's not reserved for the ultra-rich or the highly educated. It's something you already have access to, but you're probably not using it to its full potential. It's your time. More specifically, the hidden hours of your day. The hours when you're commuting, when you're doing chores, when you're walking, exercising, or simply waiting for something. These are the moments when most people let their minds drift, wasting precious time on distractions, on pointless noise, on things that add nothing to their future. But the people who stay ahead, they turn these moments into their secret weapon. They use these pockets of time to educate themselves, to sharpen their minds, to absorb powerful ideas that give them an edge in life. And one of the best ways to do this, podcasts and audiobooks. You have to understand something. The way people learn has changed. It's no longer just about sitting down with a book or attending a class. We now live in a world where knowledge is everywhere, where you can access the insights of billionaires, the strategies of top performers, the mindset of the most successful people, all with the tap of a button. You can literally carry a world-class education in your pocket. And yet, most people still don't take advantage of it. They waste hours scrolling through social media, watching meaningless content, listening to music that doesn't add value to their lives. And then they wonder why they're not growing, why they're stuck, why nothing is changing. The reality is simple. If you are not intentionally feeding your mind with powerful knowledge, you are falling behind. Imagine this. Every single day, you wake up knowing that no matter where you go, no matter what you're doing, you're learning, you're growing, you're upgrading your thinking. While other people spend their morning listening to the same songs they've heard 100 times, you're absorbing life-changing insights from the greatest minds in history. While they waste time gossiping, you're studying the habits of high achievers. While they sit in traffic complaining about their job, you're learning the skills that will get you out of that job and into something better. This is the difference between those who stay stuck and those who rise. It's not about intelligence. It's not about luck. It's about how you use your time. Now, some people will say, "I don't have time to read books. I'm too busy to sit down and study." But that excuse doesn't work anymore. Because with podcasts and audiobooks, you don't need to set aside extra time to learn. You can integrate learning into your daily routine. You can learn while driving, while cooking, while working out, while doing anything that doesn't require full mental focus. And that's what makes this so powerful. It eliminates the excuse of "I don't have time" and replaces it with a simple question: are you using your time wisely? Because if you are not learning every single day, it's not a time problem, it's a priority problem. The best part: you get access to knowledge that was once impossible to reach. Think about it. A few decades ago, if you wanted to learn from a billionaire, you had to somehow meet one in person. Good luck with that. If you wanted to understand the mindset of elite performers, you had to be in the right circles, have the right connections. But today, you can plug in your earphones and learn directly from them. You can hear their thoughts, their strategies, their experiences, as if they were mentoring you personally. You don't need to be in the same room. You don't need to be rich. You just need the willingness to listen. And that's where the real shift happens. The moment you start replacing low-value content with high-value learning, everything changes. Your mindset changes. Your decisions change. Your confidence grows. Because suddenly, you're not just consuming random entertainment, you're absorbing the mindset of winners. You're training your brain to think like a high performer. And over time, that rewires you completely. You start seeing opportunities where others see obstacles. You start thinking strategically instead of reacting emotionally. You start becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts success, because your mind has been shaped by success. Now here's the key. It's not enough to just listen. Listening alone won't change your life. Just like reading a book without applying it won't make you smarter. The real impact comes when you take what you learn and actually use it. So every time you listen to a powerful podcast or an audiobook, don't just let it go in one ear and out the other. Take notes. Write down key insights. Ask yourself, how can I use this today? Because the difference between those who grow and those who stay the same is not just what they consume, it's what they implement. Imagine if every single week you listened to just one audiobook. That's 52 books a year. Do you know how much knowledge that is? Do you know how much wisdom you would have compared to the average person? Imagine if every morning, instead of listening to music or the news, you listened to 30 minutes of a life-changing podcast. That's over 180 hours of learning every year without spending a single extra second of your time. If you do this consistently, within a year, you will be unrecognizable. Your thinking will be sharper. Your skills will be stronger. Your perspective will be completely transformed. And that's exactly why the people at the top stay at the top. They don't just consume entertainment, they consume knowledge. They don't just listen to noise, they listen to wisdom. They know that the mind is like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it gets. And the people who train their minds every single day, they become unstoppable. Right now you have a choice. You can keep doing what you've always done, wasting hours on distractions, letting your mind be filled with whatever the world throws at you. Or you can take control. You can decide that from this moment on, every spare minute you have will be dedicated to growth. You can turn your daily routine into a learning machine. You can make your car, your home, your gym, your commute, your personal university. And once you do that, you will never go back, because the results will speak for themselves. You will start thinking differently, moving differently, operating at a level that most people can't even comprehend. The people who win in life are not the ones who have the most resources. They are the ones who make the best use of what they have. And right now, you have unlimited access to knowledge. You have the ability to learn from the best minds on the planet, anytime, anywhere. The question is, are you using it? Are you taking advantage of the greatest educational tool in history? Or are you letting it slip away while you waste time on things that don't matter? Because the truth is, the difference between those who succeed and those who struggle is not luck. It's not talent. It's how they spend their time. And if you start using your time wisely, if you start filling your mind with powerful knowledge every single day, then success is not a matter of if, it's only a matter of when. Chapter 5: YouTube and Online Courses. The Right Way to Learn Skills. Success isn't something you stumble upon. It's something you build, brick by brick, habit by habit, choice by choice. And in today's world, the difference between those who rise and those who stay stuck isn't just about hard work, it's about how smart you are with your learning. Every skill you need, every advantage you want, every single tool that can elevate your life is already available. The real question is, are you using it the right way? Because in this era, information is everywhere, but most people are drowning in it instead of mastering it. Right now, you can go on YouTube and find tutorials on almost anything. You can learn to code, build a business, master marketing, get in shape,